Okay, so already we have started the topic of major heads and subheads in the previous class, but let us start this concept once again right from the scratch because hardly we have discussed only 20 items in the previous class. So today let us make a what's it, a clarity that we'll ensure that at least 50 percentage of the total items is covered today, which means totally 120 items. We ensure that today we complete more or less 60 to 65 items. Okay, so let's start understanding what is a major head and subhead. Usually this concept major head and subhead, it is a matter of 3 marks to 4 marks question. Okay, it's basically a 3-mark question. Okay, this is basically a 3 marks question under the concept of part B, analysis of financial statement. Okay, so part B is a topic called as analysis of financial statements. So under the topic analysis of financial statements, this part B total weightage is 20 marks as I already discussed in the first class. Under this 20 marks, 3 marks will be from the topic of major head and subheads. So usually 6 items will be given to you. Each item will be having a weightage of half mark. So you have to write down the major head carefully and the subhead carefully. And this major head and subhead is associated with your balance sheet. Okay, this major head and subhead is purely associated with your balance sheet. You may ask me, then won't the profit and loss account, the statement of P&L will not have any major head or subhead? Of course, it will also have something a major head and subheads, but as per the syllabus, we have the major and subheads only pertaining to the balance sheet. Okay, so we are going to learn the major heads and the subheads of balance sheet. Now, already we have seen how a company's balance sheet will be. Okay, here for you an example. Okay, we already discussed how the company's balance sheet will be. The name of the company will be in the center and then it will be marked as balance sheet asset. And all this format is being prepared based on the guidelines of Schedule 3, Part 1 of Companies Act 2013. So based on the guidelines given by Companies Act 2013 under Schedule 3 Part 1, we are preparing the balance sheet format. So in this format, if you see, you have the first category that goes for your liabilities, but it is not on liabilities, it is said to be as equities and liabilities. Okay, we are denoting the first term as equity and liabilities, not just only liabilities. Whereas in the previous segment, that means when you are in grade 11, the balance sheet what we learned was entirely different. It was called to be as an horizontal balance sheet where you had left hand side a liability and right hand side it was an asset. But now it is not the case as how it was in grade 11. Now you are learning something called as a vertical balance sheet. Remember this balance sheet what you are learning in grade 12. Okay, that is prepared under Schedule 3 Part 1 of Companies Act of 2013. This balance sheet we call them as vertical balance sheet. What balance sheet is this?
Vertical balance.
Very good. Okay, it is called as a vertical balance sheet because it goes in the vertical direction. Okay, it's in vertical form. So the first category will go for equity and liability, and the second category is what we are declaring for the assets. So asset will be okay, followed through your liabilities. This is something you have to understand. And then, okay, these are all the major heads. That means the one which I'm underlining right now or highlighting right now in yellow, okay, number one, shareholder funds. Okay, the share application by pending allotment will not be considered as a measure, but still, okay, it has been to be understood as a head. And then your non-current liabilities, and finally your current liabilities. So all these items which I have highlighted in yellow, they're all major heads. Okay, what are they called as? They are called as a major heads. Now I'm going to change the color. Okay, so now I'm going to highlight few items in pink. Okay, those are all called subheads. Okay, so what are they? And remember here also this money received against a share warrant is not a subhead. It is a separate heading shown under the category of shareholder funds. Okay, below the reserves and surplus. Okay, but this alone you have to make it very clear. This money received against share warrant is not a subhead. Okay, apart from this, everything is a subhead. Okay, it's a subhead, subhead, subheading, subheading. And here also the four items what we are underlining is subheads. So which means the items which are underlined in yellow are called major head. The items which is been underlined or highlighted in pink color, they are called as subheads. Now you may ask, sir, can there be an item without a subhead? Yes, you can have an item without subhead also. Okay, that's what we are going to learn in the given okay concept of major heads and subheads. So like how we have for the liability category major heads and subheads, even in the asset category also we have got something called as a major head and subhead. So with respect to assets, there are only two major heads. One is a non-current assets, and here you have got current assets. So last year you have learned okay assets are of two types. One is current assets, the other one is a fixed assets. And again you learned the classification as tangible assets and intangible assets. So here this non-current assets are nothing but they are called as your fixed assets. Okay, non-current assets is nothing but they are your fixed assets. But you are not supposed to write okay as fixed assets. You have to write only as non-current assets. Okay, that is how it should be reflected. Probably for your understanding, you can open a bracket and write additionally as fixed asset. But this is the main item to be shown. You are not supposed to change this non-current assets heading as fixed assets. You can add on and show within a bracket as fixed assets. That's not an error. But make sure you are not changing completely this heading as okay instead of non-current assets to fixed assets. Hope it is clear to you. Is it clear to you all?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Okay. Now all the items what I'm going to underline in pink. Okay, that means here property, plant and equipment and intangible assets. Okay, property, plant and equipment, intangible assets, capital work in progress, intangible assets under development. And here non-current investments, deferred tax assets net, long-term loans and advances, other non-current assets. All the items which I'm going to mark in pink are all comes under what? Subheads. Current investment, inventories, trade receivables, cash and cash equivalent, short-term loans and advances, and other current assets. So as how I have declared on top, the items which has been highlighted in yellow are all major head. So here this is your major head, and the items in pink are called your subheads. So now I think you are very clear that major head and subheads are the components or the elements of your balance sheet, which is one of your financial statements. I repeat it, major heads and subheads are a part or a component or an element of your financial statement. Okay, and here the financial statement is nothing but your balance sheet. Any doubt in this understanding? Any doubts in this understanding?
No, sir.
Okay. Now you may ask, then how will I able to identify whether, okay, this is the major head, this is subhead. You should be given with some items. They will give you some particular item or a specific terms. Using that specific term or an item, you have to locate it where it will fall, whether it belongs to the asset category or does it belongs to liability category. Then you have to make a distinction. If it falls in the asset category, then what type of asset is this? Whether is it a current assets or a non-current assets? Because those two are the only major heads. Okay, current assets and non-current assets. Okay, those two are the only major. So under the current assets or under non-current assets will it fall under? Okay, if it's falling under the current assets, then what could be the okay subheading for that particular item as per the format is? So there are only okay 6 subheadings: current investment, inventories, trade receivables, cash and cash equivalent, short-term loans and advances, and other current assets. Out of the given 6 items, what could be the exact and the apt subheading for that particular item? Or if it belongs to the category of non-current assets or fixed assets, then again you have 5 subheadings for that. Out of the 5 subheadings, under which subheadings you are going to classify it. That's what we are going to learn. The same, if it is a liability item, then whether it belongs to a shareholder funds or belongs to non-current liability or a current liability, under what category it falls into. If it falls into the category of non-current liability, then what is the exact subheading for it, whether it is a long-term borrowings or whether it is a other long-term liabilities or whether it is a long-term provisions or whether it is a deferred tax liabilities net. Okay, you have to classify it. Or if it is belong to the current liabilities, then you have to ensure whether it belongs to short-term borrowings or does it belongs to trade payables or whether it belongs to the other current liabilities or it falls in the short-term provisions. Or if it's fall under the shareholder funds, then whether it's a share capital or whether it's a reserves and surplus. This money received against share warrant, please remember it is not a subhead. It is an item that falls under the category of shareholder funds. Okay, a part under the reserves and surplus shown as separate line item. Don't mix up this as a what subheading. It's not a subheading. Any doubt now with respect to the format of your balance sheet, under what guidelines it has been prepared, what is the major head of a given balance sheet, what are all the subheads of a given balance sheet, and when a question is coming from the topic of major and subhead, okay, under which okay category it has to be recorded. As of now, if you have any doubt, please let it clarify before I step into the main concept. Any doubt? Is there any doubt to anyone so far?
No,
Right, okay. Now let's start one by one. The first item, okay, which is given to us is accrued income. What is the item given for us? The first item is accrued income. Last year in your grade 11, during your final accounts, you would have learned 4 important items. Okay, these are items which we are going to discuss, for which we are going to find which is your main head, major head, and which is your subhead. So the first item is your accrued income. So last year you have come across something called as prepaid expenses. Next is income received in advance, outstanding expenses, and then one more thing called as an accrued income. So you should understand that these 4 items, which means prepaid, accrued, advance, and then outstanding, they are first of all a current item. They're all belongs to current category. Okay, I'm making it very clear. these four items, okay, what are those four items if you ask me? Okay, prepaid, outstanding, accrued, and advance. These four items, first of all, they belong to the category of current. Okay, under what category they belongs to? They belongs to the category of current. Okay, now you should understand, okay, whether it is an asset or liability, because current could be for current assets, or it could also be a current liability. So first you should understand what is a prepaid. Okay, usually for prepaid you will have prepaid expenses. So prepaid expenses, what it is, whether it's an asset or liability? Prepaid expenses, it's an asset or liability? Hello? Prepaid expenses are asset or liability, Kanna? Hello?
Liability.
Right, sir.
Prepaid expense is an asset. Prepaid expense is an asset. So it falls under category of asset. So it's a current asset. Okay. The next one is outstanding. Outstanding will also be for expenses. Any expenses is outstanding means what it is, whether it's an asset or liability.
Liability, sir.
Very good. It's a liability. So that means this will fall under category of liability. So it belongs to current liability. The next is accrued. So accrued belongs to income, accrued income. Now tell me whether accrued income is an asset or liability. Accrued income, whether it's an asset or liability. Accrued income. What is accrued income? Income that has been earned but not received. You have earned an income but still you are not received. That's called accrued income. Tell me whether accrued income is an asset or it is a
Asset,
liability.
sir.
Very good. It is an asset for us. So even this belongs to the asset category. So it will be a current asset, right? The next is advance. So what could be the last one? Income received in advance. So for advance is nothing but income received in advance. Now tell me, this income received in advance is an asset or liability?
Liability, sir.
Liability. So that means it will fall under the category of liability. So it belongs to current liability. Any doubt first of all? Any
No,
doubt?
sir.
No, sir.
Okay, so these items, it belongs to the assets and liabilities. Now you know very well, when you find any item such as prepaid expenses, outstanding expenses, accrued income, or income received advance, they are belongs to the current category. Okay, so that you have to associate them with either liability means current liability, asset means it is a current asset. Okay, and now if you see in the current assets and current liability category, where to be shown, because it should have something called a subheading, right? It will be shown, okay, under the current asset. Let's see what are the items we have got, okay, or under current liability what you have. For example, outstanding expenses. Okay, outstanding expenses are not borrowings, right? It should not be a borrowing. And borrowings இருக்கிறதுக்கு வாய்ப்பு இல்லை. Okay, so short term borrowings ruled out. Trade payables. Trade payables அதுவும் வாய்ப்பு இல்லை. It's not possible. Okay, outstanding expenses trade payables வரதுக்கும் வாய்ப்பு இல்லை. Other current liabilities, okay, you have. And the next one is short term provisions. It is not provision, because what is provision? An amount kept outside from the earned profits called provision. So அது ப்ரொவிஷனாக இருக்கிறதுக்கும் probability கிடையாது. There is no scope for provision also. So it will not be a part of your borrowings. It is not a part of a trade payable. It is not a part of your what provisions. So only leftover item is other current liabilities. So it can be a part of other current liabilities if it is a liability item. The same, even if it is an asset item, it could be a part of your other current assets. Able to understand? Can you able to understand?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now you can see here what they are given for us. Okay, the first one is in accrued income. So major head current assets is a major head. Okay, because we discussed major heads are only two in asset category. One is a current assets and other is a non-current assets. So it comes under major head of current assets. And under the major head current assets, all the items are all what? Subheads. So under what subheading you are going to show it? Under the subheading of other current assets. So that is how you are going to declare it. Okay, you'll show it as subheading other current assets. I hope first one is clear to you all. There is no doubt, right? Any doubt?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now second item, advance taxes. Look here, it was not mentioned as okay income received in advance. Okay, it is mentioned as advance taxes, which means the tax usually what we pay to the government is a liability. But before assessing the amount of tax, what has to be paid, we have paid some amount of tax in advance. That's what we call them as advance tax. So when you have made some payment in advance, we usually call them as prepaid expenses. Okay, so here instead of giving it as a prepaid expenses, they have given it in a diplomatical way, mentioning it as advance taxes. So usually payment of tax is a liability, and not only that, it is an expense for the business concern. Okay, but here you are paid a particular expense well in advance. That means it is a asset because it's a prepaid expense. You have paid an expense, okay, before it is due. So advance taxes is usually considered to be as a prepaid expenses. Okay, so prepaid expenses. Now tell me whether it's an asset or liability. Prepaid expenses. Prepaid expenses. Hello.
Asset,
Prepaid,
sir.
it is an asset. So it is a word prepaid is there. Okay, so it is always a current asset. So you are marking as current asset. Whenever it is a current assets, as I said, the four items, whether it is a prepaid, accrued, advance, or outstanding, it comes under the category of current asset or liability, and then the subheading will be other current assets. Hope it is clear to you. Any doubt? Any doubt you have it?
Sir.
Okay. The next one, if you see, okay, the item given to us, amount received against share warrants. So what is the item given to us? Amount received against a share warrant. So if you could see your balance sheet, okay, under the category of shareholder funds, I just said you, okay, money received against share warrants is that. Okay. So money received or amount received all denotes one and the same. So you are receiving some money against the share warrants. And as I said, this is not a subheading. It is a part shown under the category of shareholder funds. So shareholder funds is a major head. But this is an item which does not have any subheading. So that's what you're going to say it here. If you could see here, they say very clearly, okay, major head for this item is what? Shareholder funds. But in subheading category, what they have mentioned as a separate item after reserves and surplus. Okay, this is what you're going to record. Okay, it will be shown as a separate item after reserves and surplus. So it does not have any subheading because it is a part of your major head reserves and surplus. Sorry, part of your major head, that is shareholder funds. So it appears below the reserves and surplus, but it should not be shown as a separate subheading. Okay, it will be shown as a separate item after the reserves and surplus. Able to understand the first three items? Any doubt? Any doubt in the first three items?
No, sir.
No,
Okay.
sir.
The next comes is balance with bank. So balance with the bank is nothing but cash at bank. Okay. So what is balance with the bank? It is cash at bank or cash in bank, whatever it is. So now tell me, cash in hand, cash at bank. Is it an asset or it's a liability?
Asset, sir.
It is an asset. Okay. And tell me whether this cash in hand or cash at bank, okay, will it be always the same or will it changes from time to time? Today I have 1,000 rupees in my bank account. Will the same 1,000 rupees will be throughout the year or there could be an increase or decrease in my bank account balance?
Sir, there will be an increase or decrease, sir.
Exactly. So any item which shows an increase or decrease in its tendency, those items we can declare it as a current item. As how you have the current, the electricity, which has a tendency to show two different extreme, high voltage and a low voltage. That means there is always some fluctuations in the electricity. In the same way, okay, that electricity we otherwise colloquially we call them as current. In the same ideology applies even accountancy. An item which is having a variation or fluctuation from time to time in the balance, we call them as a current item. So balance what I maintain in my bank will always keep changing, okay, from time to time. How, if you ask, when my customer paid amount directly into my bank account, then my bank balance will increase. When I am going to issue a check payment to some of my suppliers, obviously my bank balance will decrease. So as a result of this, there will be an increase or decrease. Okay. Or if suppose the bank is providing me some interest on the amount what I am maintaining, then that will also will increase my bank balance. So that will be a item of increase in bank account. Or if suppose bank is going to deduct some charges for the services what they render, then my bank balance will decrease. As a result of this, I'll have to, okay, forego some amount. So there will be a reduction in my bank balance. So bank balance or balance with the bank, okay, it is subject to a asset and it is showing a tendency of increase or decrease. So it belongs to the category of current assets. Any doubt in understanding the type of asset, current assets or current liability? Any doubt?
No, no,
Okay,
sir.
so it is an item of current assets. Okay, now we should understand what could be the subhead for this item. So when you look into the subhead category, okay, of your balance sheet for current assets, it will not be an investment. Okay, it is not an investment that you have done. Okay, second, it is not an inventory. Inventories are nothing but stock. The goods are called inventories. So it does not belong to category of inventories. At the same time, it does not belong to category of trade receivables. Okay. It is not a loan or advance. So it's not a short-term loans or advance. And of course, it can't be an other current assets. So you have something called as cash and cash equivalents. So what does it mean? Means cash and cash equivalent is the cash in hand. Okay, make a note of it. Cash and cash equivalent is nothing but cash in hand, cash at bank. Next, okay, draft. Drafts are nothing but your demand drafts, which we shortly call as DD. Okay, demand drafts. And then, okay, government securities and even marketable securities. So these are all the classic examples for your cash and cash equivalent. Yes, there is one more item that's called as checks in hand. Okay, so checks or checks in hand. Now you may ask, how come the check or check in hand is a part of cash and cash equivalent? A check is a negotiable instrument which is containing some portion of money, and it has been signed by the issuer addressing the banker to pay that particular money to the holder of the check. So that means if the customer or if the account holder has sufficient balance in his account, then obviously the check will be honored and payment will be made to the respective party, whoever presents the checks over the counter. So in that case, the check is bearing some portion of money, so it is equivalent to cash. Okay, we don't say it is a exact cash, it is an equivalent to cash. There makes a difference. கேஷுக்கும் கேஷ் ஈக்குவலன்ஸ்க்கும் வித்தியாசம் இருக்கு. கேஷ்னா லிட்டரலான கேஷ். இப்போ கேஷ் இன் ஹேண்டுங்கிற போது இட் கம்ஸ் as a cash because it's a cash in hand. Okay, cash. Cash at bank. Yes, bankல இருக்கக்கூடிய என்னோடது deposits. That's also cash. Okay. Now drafts. Drafts is the demand drafts. I have taken an amount in the favor of some party and the amount has got transferred to the particular party, but it is to be notified through a document called as demand draft. So that is an instrument, okay, that is containing some portion of money. So that means it is equivalent to cash. Okay, that is what we say. At the same time, checks. So check is also okay an amount which has been marked in it. Once it is getting cleared, the payment will be delivered. Okay, it will be disbursed. So that means it is equivalent to cash. That's why we call these category as cash and cash equivalent. We can say cash or cash equivalent. Okay, cash and cash equivalent is the right term. So these are all the examples that we are going to learn under the category of cash and cash equivalent. I hope now it is clear to you what is the concept is cash or the balance at bank or balance in bank. Are you clear with the concept of balance with bank? What is the term? Main head is current asset. Subhead will be, what will be a subhead? What's a subhead?
Short-term borrowings, sir.
Short-term borrowing, sir.
Cash and cash equivalent, sir.
Good. Please be more attentive, ma'am, because no one will explain like this line by line. I'm damn sure. You people will experience it in your school when teacher teaches this concept. They never teaches this concept. None of the school will teaches this concept. Okay, except very few who are dedicated to teach the concept. The teachers might teach it. In all the other schools, 99.9% cases, majority of the school teachers will just skip away this topic, asking you to learn by yourself because there is nothing to explain it. They'll say it is an item which has a major subject. There's nothing to teach. You will experience by yourself, you learn by yourself when you go with the topic of accounting for share capital, issue of shares, issue of debentures, when we deal with the ratios, when we deal with the cash flow. Once if you are understood all this concept, then the major and sub topic is nothing. Okay, you will be learning by yourself. They'll just declare it and they'll close the issue. No teacher will teach it, okay, like this judiciously, line by line, inch by inch, making you to understand the concepts. So please pay attention. Okay, coming up to next item called bank overdraft, which otherwise if it is given as cash credit from the banks. Now tell me, what is bank overdraft? Bank overdraft is basically a short term finance. What is bank overdraft? Bank overdraft is basically a short term finance, right? So that means it is a borrowing. Okay, bank overdraft is basically a short-term finance provided by the banks to those people who are having current account. That means to the business people, okay, whoever is holding a current account in their bank, and if they have opted for it. Say for example, if I am a businessman, I don't have a current account, will I be able to get the bank overdraft facility? I am a businessman, I have not opened a current account. Will I be eligible to get bank overdraft from the bank? Hello? Hello?
No, sir.
Please be responsible. Kindly respond immediately. Okay. I am a businessman. I am having a bank account, but I don't have a current account. Will I be eligible for a bank overdraft?
No, sir.
No. Okay. Second case. I am a businessman. I have a current account in a particular bank, but I have not opted for the overdraft facility. Now, will I be eligible for claiming the overdraft?
No, sir.
No. Third case, I am a businessman. I have a bank account. I have opted for overdraft facility. Will I be eligible for obtaining or claiming bank overdraft?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So if I have the eligibility to claim the bank overdraft, that means banker is providing me a short-term finance. He is helping me or supporting my business, okay, by providing a short-term finance. That means I am borrowing the money from the bank. So that bank overdraft is nothing but literally it is a short-term finance. It is a borrowings. So that is the reason, okay, we are going to locate it in the terms of current liabilities because the word says very clearly it is a short-term finance. What type of finance is bank overdraft? I'm saying to you, bank overdraft is basically a
Short term.
short-term finance. When the word used here is short term, obviously it is to be understood that it is a current because current is a short term period, non current means it is for a longer period. So that is how I am just declaring first this bank overdraft under the category of current. And what I said, it is a short-term finance. That is, I have done the borrowings. So which means borrowings comes under liability. So that is the reason I have first made very clear it is a major head, that is current liability is the major head for this item. Okay. Now I should be very clear what is the subhead. Just go back to your balance sheet itself. Under the current liability, see what could be the possibilities. You have got something called as short-term borrowings. You have got something called as your short-term provisions, other current liabilities, trade payables. Now tell me which is the possibility. Trade payable இருக்கிறதுக்கு வாய்ப்பு இல்லை, அதர் கரண்ட் லைபிலிட்டிஸ் இருக்கிறதுக்கும் வாய்ப்பு இல்லை, ஷார்ட் டேர்ம் ப்ரொவிஷன்ஸ்க்கு கண்டிப்பாக வாய்ப்பே இல்லை. It is a borrowing asset. It's a short-term finance. That means you have borrowed the money from the bank. It's a short-term finance. So short-term borrowings. That is a apt current liability. I mean, sorry, that's a apt subheading. Okay, for the given item as bank overdraft. So that's the reason the subheading has been marked as short-term borrowings. Any doubt as of now? The first five items.
No, sir.
Right. Moving on to the sixth item. What is given to us? Bills payables. So you know very well that anything which is a payable, it is an item of, it's an item of liability. Payable தானே இந்த liability தானே, payable தானே இருந்தமா, it's a liability, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So bills payable. Okay. அப்போ இந்த bills payableங்கிற கான்செப்ட் ஏதோ ஒரு லிங்க் ஆயிருக்கு அப்படின்னு பார்த்தீங்கன்னா there is one topic called as bill of exchange. But unfortunately or fortunately, CBSE is not prescribing that particular chapter in grade 11, okay, for the past 3-4 years. So bill of exchange is not there in the syllabus for the past 3 to 4 years. So you will not be having an idea about what is bills payable. But still, it is my duty to make you to understand. So whenever a credit transaction takes place, whenever a credit transaction takes place, okay, either you are buying the goods on credit or you're selling goods on credit, you will be preparing a bill of exchange with the party with whom you are doing the deal. So you ensure that the payment for the goods, whether if you have purchased means the payment for the goods, when are you going to make a payment, or whether if you have sold the goods, then when are you going to receive the payment for the goods? That will be made very clear. So if it is a payable for you, it is a liability. If it is a receivables for you, it is an asset. So we'll declare them as, if it is a payable means bills payable, if it is a receivable means bills receivable. And most important, when it will happen, only when you are involving yourself in the credit transaction. Okay, what type of credit transaction? Buying the goods on credit or selling the goods on credit, which means buying and selling, these two terms together we call them as trade activity. So buying and selling of goods, okay, or services, we call them as a trade activity. So now you have got some words such as, it's a liability because payables. It is linked with the trade activity because buying and selling is there. So trade is also there. So when the word trade comes, just recollect to whom we have to pay. Payables. Payable ஆனா அப்ப யாருக்கு பே பண்ற மாதிரி இருக்கும்? பையருக்கா இல்ல செல்லருக்கா?
Seller, sir.
Okay, how do you call that particular seller here as? Creditors.
Creditor.
So under what category it comes? Creditors belongs to the current liability because they give you only short-term loan. They give you only short-term finance. They will not give you a long-term finance. Max to max, creditors will make a payment. Okay, give you the credit facility of 120 days, not beyond that. So bills payable அப்படின்னு பார்த்தா, it is a current item and liability இருக்கனால it comes under the category of current liabilities. So bills payable ஒரு major இது current liability. அப்போ current liabilityக்கு என்னெல்லாம் சார் நமக்கு இருக்கு அப்படின்னு போய் பார்த்தா, you will have a clarity. Under the category of current liability, you have got these four items: short-term provisions, trade payables, okay, and then what you have? Other current liabilities, okay, and short-term provisions. Now tell me, it is payables. So that means it is linked with the trade activity. So trade payable is a right word to lock it. So that's the reason the subheading is given as trade payables. Any doubt as of the 6 items?
No, sir.
Okay, the next is quite opposite to the payable. If bills payable is a liability, then what is bills receivable for us?
Asset, sir.
Very good. It is an asset. Okay. Because accountancy is purely in antonyms. It's an opposites. Okay. So here you got to know it is an asset. So what type of asset it should be? It's a current asset because it deals with your debtors. So receivable, யாருக்கு receive ஆகணும்? Debtors then receive ஆகணும். So first we have made very clear it is a current asset. Now if you go and check your current asset major head, you know what are all the subheads you have under this category of, okay, current asset. So you have to lock one item out of this. So which item will be locked? There is only one item that's called as receivable, trade receivable. So this is the item to be locked. So that means trade receivable, okay, this item under the current asset for what? Bills receivable. புரியுதா? Bills receivable க்கு ஏன் நம்ம வந்து trade receivable மார்க் பண்றோம்ட்டு சப்ஹெடிங்க தயவு செஞ்சு புரியாம மகப் பண்ணாதீங்க. Don't literally mug up or by heart the items. If you understood what the concept is all about, easily you can locate it. So trade receivables. Any doubt as of this?
No, sir.
No,
Right.
sir.
The next comes, it is bonds. Okay, what is this? The next item is a bonds. Okay, so bonds is nothing but it is basically a liability. Okay, it is issued normally for a longer period. Okay, it is issued basically for a long term period, and it is by default itself, it comes under the category of borrowings because you are issuing bonds through which you are going to borrow some funds, and it is purely for a period of more than a year, that is for a longer period. Okay, and unless it is, if it is stated in the, okay, issue that is for a short period, it belongs to the short-term borrowings. If not, it is a long-term borrowings. So basically, bonds is also one of the media, okay, or it's one of the mode through which borrowings can be done. And what are the borrowings that you are doing with the issue of bonds? It is for a long period. So issue of bonds is for a long period, and it is a part of your what long-term borrowings. Now it is very clear. Long-term, I said it is a borrowing I used. Now see bonds. Bonds long term borrowings. Look at the words that we use. Bonds it is a long term borrowings. Okay, long term borrowings. இப்போ சொல்லுங்க borrowings இருக்கு. Borrowings தான் liability asset. Borrowings இது asset இல்ல it's a liability.
Liability.
Liability, sir.
Liability. Long term சொல்றோம். அப்போ long termனா அப்போ அது கரண்டா இல்ல நான் கரண்டா?
Non-current, sir.
ஸோ அப்போ ரெண்டு மிக்ஸ் பண்ணுங்க. ஒரு liability அது வந்து லாங்கர் பீரியட் நான் கரண்ட். அப்போ அதை மிக்ஸ் பண்ணா என்ன வரும் உங்களுக்கு? நான் கரண்ட் liability. அப்போ எந்த கேட்டகரியில் வருது? இட்ஸ் அ நான் கரண்ட் liability. ஓகே, அப்போ மேஜர் ஹெட் கிளியர் ஆயிடுச்சு. அப்போ சப்ஹெட்டிங் போயிடலாம். What is the subheading that you have under the non-current liability? அப்படின்னு பார்த்தாக்க these are the items that you have under non-current liability. Long-term borrowings, deferred tax liabilities net, other long-term liabilities or long-term provision. இப்போ சொல்லுங்க, கொடுத்துருக்க இந்த 4 ஆப்ஷன்ஸ்ல which one is an apt subheading for that particular item?
Long-term borrowing, sir.
That's it. So that's why you are going to lock it as long-term borrowings. Clear with the major and subhead up to this 8 items?
Yes, sir.
Okay, moving on to item number 9. So booking amount received from customers. So usually when company receives some amount from the customer as a booking amount, then it is now the obligation from the customer, from the company side, that they have to provide the services, right? They have received some booking amount from the customers. So I'll give you a basic or little example which you can easily understand. I think every month, okay, in our house we used to book cylinders, gas cylinder, probably if you're using gas stove in your house. So we used to book the gas cylinder through the registered phone number through IVRS number, and then the respective gas agency will be delivering the gas on a respective date, and then he will collect the money from us. Or before itself we would have paid some caution deposits, which will be adjusted, and then he will deliver and get the money from us. So he have received some amount, booking amount he has received from the customer. Okay, so now it is the duty of the gas agency to deliver the gas on time to their customers. So in that way it becomes their obligation, it becomes their responsibility, that becomes as their liability. This is one way of understanding. Or the other way, let me make you to understand even more simpler. Okay, you have paid a token advance. Say for example, you have to book a hall for a party. Okay, so you have just visited one party hall and you have asked whether that particular party hall is available on a particular date between this time to this time. Then the party hall found to be vacant. You are making a payment to that particular person, not the full payment. You're just making a part payment, and you're just booking that particular hall, okay, by giving a part payment. So that means it is a booking amount that has been received from customer. You are just booking that on this particular date from this time to this time I want it. Don't let it to any other person. Here I'm giving some amount as a token advance, or let me pay you the entire amount. It depends upon the capacity of the person. He can pay the entire amount or he can pay a part amount and book that particular hall. Then Once everything is fine, is he may come and pay the remaining amount in a day or two. That's something different. So whenever a payment is being paid, okay, either completely or partly, and when the money is being received from the customer, okay, as booking amount, it is a duty of that particular, okay, business concern to provide the services or the goods as promised. So that means it becomes again a liability. What does it becomes as? It becomes a liability because you have received the money, booking amount you have received, and it is now the obligation to give the services or the goods. So in that aspect, any booking amount that we have received from the customer, okay, will be considered as a liability, and it is a for a period of short term current liability. Okay, so any booking amount that we are receiving from the customer, okay, is a current liability. Any doubt? Any doubt? It is a current liability because we have received a payment. Now it becomes our accountability and we are liable for the money what we have received. So we have to provide them the services or the goods for the amount whatever we have received it. So in that way, it becomes as a liability. And what type of liability it is? It is a current liability. Any doubt up to this current liabilities?
No, sir.
Okay, now let's see under what category it can be fixed. So in current liability, you have got only these four items. That is, you have got something called as a short-term borrowings. I am not borrowing any money in this case. Okay, I am just receiving the money. Okay, as an advance. Look here, it's not borrowing. It is a booking amount received from customer. I'm just receiving the booking amount from the customer. Okay, so that means it is not a advance. Okay, so that means it cannot be your borrowings. Trade payable. It cannot be a trade payable because there is no debtor or creditor involved in the scene. Okay, so in that way, it can't be your trade payable. Obviously, it can't be your provisions. So what could be the possibility or the probability is your other current liabilities. So it is shown as current liabilities and the subheading as other current liabilities. Able to understand how we are declaring this as a other current liability?
Yes,
Any,
sir.
okay.
Sir.
The next one is brand, okay, or trademarks. Brand is otherwise called as a trademarks. So basically, a brand or a trademark is considered to be a asset for a firm. ஒரு firm ஒரு organizationோடது okay brand or trademark is an asset. What type of asset if you ask? They are fixed assets. What type of assets they are? They are fixed assets. But can we say fixed assets when we are preparing the company's form of a balance sheet? Can we say fixed assets as a fixed assets in the company form of balance sheet? Or do we have any specific term to be used? Do we have any specific term to be used for declaring or denoting your fixed assets, or it can be said as fixed asset itself?
Sir, it should not be set as fixed assets, sir.
Then how it should be denoted or represented as?
Non-current assets, sir.
Very good. So brand or trademark, basically they are fixed assets, but we should not say it as a fixed asset. They should be denoted as non-current assets. Now you should be very careful. Come back to your non-current assets. You have one of these items. Under non-current assets, you have got something called as property, plant and equipment and intangible asset. Under that, you have property, plant, equipment, intangible asset, capital work in progress, intangible assets under development. Will it going to be fit in these categories? Or I have something called non-current investment, whether it's going to fit into this category, or whether it's a deferred tax assets net, or is it a long-term loans and advances, or other non-current assets. So out of the given subheads, which one I can lock it? Basically, this trademark or the brand, it is a property, plant and equipment. It is basically an intangible asset. Okay, so brand or a trademark is basically a, so coming in the property, plant and equipment and intangible assets. It is an intangible asset. Okay, so this is the only category that can be fit for the trademark or brand. Okay, it is an intangible asset. Any doubt in the first 10 items?
No, sir.
Okay, moving on to the next item. Building under construction. So what they said, building under the construction. So which means building, what does it means? Whether it is an asset or liability. Building is an asset or liability.
Assets.
It is an asset. What type of asset they are? Fixed assets or no, current assets? What type of asset they are? Fixed assets or current assets? Building is an asset. What type of asset it is? Whether it is a fixed asset or a current assets? Hello. Now, what is building, Kanna? Is it a fixed asset or is it a current asset?
Fixed asset.
Fixed assets, sir.
இது சொல்றதுக்கு இவ்வளவு நேரம் லாஸ்ட் இயர் நம்ம டெப்ரிசியேஷன் படிச்சோம். டெப்ரிசியேஷன் பில்டிங் இஸ் அண்டர்கோயிங் டெப்ரிசியேஷன் படிக்கலையா? அப்போ ஃபிக்ஸட் அசெட் only will undergo depreciation. ஏன் இவ்வளவு லேட் எடுக்கிறீங்க? Why you are taking this much of time? That shows that you are not attentive, you are not able to bring your focus. Probably I want to share one video. I'll share it today. It is a 1.5 hour video, but in that 1.5 hour video, the particular lecturer, the particular okay dignitary person will just keep repeating or chanting or scolding a same point again and again and again and again for 1.5 hours. He is a professionally qualified person. Okay, just 3-4 days ago he has given this press meet. That means he gave a meeting to all his students. He literally scolded it and everything is been okay just uploaded in his official website, that is in his official okay YouTube channel. And recently I just saw that yesterday, 1.5 hours the video runs. The concept or the theme or the core of the particular videos is one thing: students were not able to crack the CA foundation or the CA intermediate. And the statement what he said was very simple. It was not just asking you to score centum. Okay, not even you are fit to get even the least score of 40 marks. Okay, that 40 percentage, you people are not fit to score it. You should be ashamed of it. The reason is you people don't have the focus, you people don't have the seriousness, you people don't have that sincerity. You people should be ashamed to be here. He literally scolded. I said everything in a decent way in English, but he used colloquial Tamil words. He scolded all the upcoming future auditors and the cost and management accountants, okay, of our nation, left and right. வெக்கமான சூடு சொரணை இருந்தாக்க நாக்க புரிந்து சாகர மாதிரி இருக்கும். His words what I use. It was running for 1.5 hour video. The same point he kept on saying it in a different versatility in different versions. I'll share it in the group also today. Actually I thought of sharing yesterday itself, but then I felt why should I want to share it up? Okay, at least by looking at that, please rebuild or try to change your attitude. Attitude matters a lot. Okay, attitude is required. You have to react and respond when teacher asks. If you are going to sit idle, only one or two is going to respond out of 5 members. Okay, that is a very minimum number of students as of now. And I am not release this information to majority of my other batches or to other students of various schools. You people are gifted to have a limited strength, and it is not required for me to conduct it in the early morning. I can even conduct in the evening, or anyhow it is an online session only. I can just record it as per my convenience, and I can just upload it in the YouTube. Whenever you find, you go and watch it. I can leave in that way also. But why I'm also getting up in the early morning for you people? Is it for the money that what you pay me? Definitely not. I can earn the money in any way. This is not the only way to earn money for me. By God's gift, I'm getting money in various sources. Please be very vigilant. Please be more careful. I am not the person who works for money. I work for passion. Even I can take classes at free of cost. That is not my intention. My intention is to give the best to the students, maximum whatever that I have learned it from my generation, from my teachers, from my gurus, so that you people can enrich your knowledge to upcoming generations. You can enlighten the minds. You can make the other people to enlighten. For that purpose only I am giving the session, and morning session will be fresh mind, where you can able to answer more and more things. But only one or two is answering, the rest keeping it very idle. It seems to be very pathetic for me. I can just withdraw the session also. Please, I'm not keeping an appeal. I'm just making it very sure. If you want to progress and prosper and to get marks, because it's the only subject where you can earn marks, you can prove yourself, you can make your parents to feel happy, ensure that without going for physical class, in the online class itself you have learned all the knowledge and all the concepts, tips, tricks, everything, and you're applying that in your examination. And if you get sent them, that is showing that you are more talented, you are more capable. I'm saying it very honestly. If you can able to score 90 plus or 90 above by taking my online classes, then that shows you are 10 steps or 10 times more knowledgeable. Your idea, your thought process, and your IQ is more. Everyone has that intellectual capacity, everyone has that mindset to think. If you are very serious, if you are very sincere, and if you are very focused and attentive, then the online session what you're taking has a worth for it. Or else the online session whatever that you're taking is just for name sake only, I'll say it. So please keep this in your mind. I'm giving all this on record. Everything is going to be uploaded in the YouTube by today evening. Even this will be captured. This is going to be telecasted. Okay. So what I said will be there. Nothing has been passed, or nothing has been skipped. Everything is going on track. It is getting recorded. Right. So coming back to the concept, building, what type of an asset is this? Whether it is a fixed asset or a current asset.
Fixed asset, sir.
Fixed asset. So we are denoting here fixed assets as non-current assets. So that means when building is under construction, first of all it is an asset, that's so fixed asset, and here it is a non-current assets. So major, it is very clear, it's a non-current asset. And this building is not got completed. The work is in progress. That's why the word says building is under the construction. Anything which is under construction, we call them in simple words work in progress. Anything which is in construction part, we call them in simple word as work in progress. That means now come back to your balance sheet. Under the category of your asset, non-current asset, you know very well it is a property. When you are going to construct a building, it becomes a property for us, so it should come under the category of property, plant and equipment. Under this category only we have to fix it. What is the one that we can print fix it up? Is the property, plant and equipment, or is the intangible asset, or is a capital work in progress, or intangible asset under development? There are four things. Okay, which one it could be? First, if at all it is a completed building, and the building complete முடிஞ்சிருச்சு, ஒர்க் எல்லாமே கம்ப்ளீட் ஆயிடுச்சுன்னா தான் நம்ம என்ன சொல்ல முடியும், அது ப்ராப்பர்ட்டி, அது ஃபுல் ஃப்ளெஜ்டு ப்ராப்பர்ட்டி, ஃபுல்லி கம்ப்ளீட்டட் ப்ராப்பர்ட்டி. ஸோ அப்போ அது ப்ராப்பர்ட்டிங்கிற பேரில் இப்போதைக்கு நம்ம என்ன பண்ண முடியாது, டிக்ளேர் பண்ண முடியாது. ஏன்னா ப்ராப்பர்ட்டினா எப்படி சொல்ல முடியும், அது ஃபுல்லி கம்ப்ளீட்டாக இருந்ததா ப்ராப்பர்ட்டி. செமி ஃபினிஷ்டாக இருக்குது இல்லை பார்ஷியலி ஃபினிஷ்டாக இருக்குன்னா அதை ப்ராப்பர்ட்டின்ட்டு சொல்ல முடியாது. பட் ஃபியூச்சரில் ப்ராப்பர்ட்டி ஆகும். At present, it is not a property, but anyhow, in the future only, it is going to become a property. So, and the future base பண்ணி இப்போ நம்ம ரெக்கார்ட் பண்ண முடியாது. So, it cannot fit under the category of property, plant and equipment. Second, building. A building, what type of asset? Yes, fixed asset, that is non-current asset. Okay, அதில் classification tangible, intangible. Building tangible, intangible. Building tangible, intangible.
Tangible, sir.
Tangible. அப்போ இங்கே கொடுத்துருக்க இன்டான்ஜிபிள் அசட்டை அதில் பிளாக் பண்ணுறதுக்கும் பாசிபிலிட்டி கிடையாது. ஸோ அப்போ ஃபர்ஸ்ட் ஒன்னும் ரூல்ட் அவுட்டு, செகண்ட் ஒன்னும் ரூல்ட் அவுட்டு. ஓகே, அடுத்த ரெண்டே ஐட்டம் தான் இருக்குது. கேபிட்டல் ஒர்க் இன் ப்ரோக்ரஸ், இன்னொன்று இன்டான்ஜிபிள் அசட் அந்த டெவலப்மெண்ட். இந்த இன்டான்ஜிபிள் அசட் அந்த டெவலப்மெண்ட்டாக இருக்கிறது வாய்ப்பு இல்லை. ஏன்னா இன்டான்ஜிபிள் அசட்டுக்கே வாய்ப்பு இல்லை, அப்புறமா இன்டான்ஜிபிள் அசட் அண்டர் டெவலப்மெண்ட்டு. ஸோ அப்போது அவுட் ஆஃப் த 4 items under property, plant and equipment, 3 is ruled out. The only one item which can be considered is capital work in progress. You know very well that all the assets, okay, which you learned last year, assets are equal to your liabilities plus capital. So now the building, okay, is a part of your capital. Building is a part of your capital, am I right? You're bringing building or you're constructing building, okay, that's going to be a part of your capital contribution, am I right?
Yes, sir.
So that means the capital work is in progress, building work in progress, so capital work in progress. This is the apt answer for your what, building under construction or under progress, whatever it is, right? So building under construction, you are giving it as a non-current asset and you are declaring it as capital work in progress. Any doubt up to this 11 item?
No, sir.
Moving on to next. Calls in advance along with interest. Okay, now for this purpose of calls in advance, I should make you to understand a complete concept of issue of shares. So shares அப்படின்னு சொல்லி ஒரு கான்செப்ட் இருக்கு, அது தனியாக நம்ம ஒரு சாப்டரை படிப்போம். Since we are using a term here as calls in advance along with interest, I should make you to understand what is a share is all about, what is there for a share, and what is calls in advance, what is calls in arrears. Only if I make you to understand all these terms and terminology, that makes you to understand a complete picture. So let me hold on this calls in advance and calls in arrears for a time period. Yes, of course I'll teach you, because I want to complete at least minimum 25 to 30 today as a target. Okay, so if I'm going to involve more in this calls in advance and calls in arrears, max to max I can only complete 15 items. So thereby I will not be able to touch the planned target today. So temporarily I am holding on the item number 12, okay, calls in advance. Once we complete few items, definitely I'll touch upon this calls in advance and calls in arrears and other items. Okay, right. Now item number 13 also I'm keeping it on hold. I'm just moving on to item number 14. What is this? Capital redemption reserve. The word redemption is nothing but payback. Okay, redemption is to pay off or to pay back. Now there is something called a reserve, capital redemption reserve. This we shortly call them as CRR. Okay, this is shortly called as CRR, capital redemption reserve. Whenever you find a term called reserve, please make a mind, it comes under the category of reserves and surplus. Reserve word irundale, அது one among the reserve. ஓகே, நமக்கு பல வகையான ரிசர்வ்ஸ் இருக்கு. One is general reserve, the other one is a specific reserve. Now tell me, this capital redemption reserve, இது ஜென்ரலா இல்ல இது ஸ்பெசிஃபிக்கா? இந்த கேபிட்டல் ரிடம்ஷன் ரிசர்வ் இருக்கு, இது ஜெனரல் ரிசர்வா இல்ல இது ஸ்பெசிஃபிக்கான ரிசர்வா?
Specific reserve, sir.
Very good, it is a specific reserve. So capital redemption reserve is a specific reserve. It is used only for that particular purpose. That means general reserve வந்து என்ன பர்பஸ் கூட யூஸ் பண்ணலாம். ஸ்பெசிஃபிக் ரிசர்வ்னா அந்த என்ன பர்பஸ்க்கு நம்ம கிரியேட் பண்ணியிருக்கோமோ அந்த பர்பஸ்க்கு மட்டும்தான் நம்ம அதை யூஸ் பண்ண முடியும், வேற எந்த பர்பஸ்க்கும் யூஸ் பண்ண முடியாது. ஓகே, ஸோ அப்போ எதெல்லாம் ஸ்பெசிஃபிக் ரிசர்வ்ஸ் அப்படின்னு கேட்டோம்னா, there are various specific reserves like WCR, Workman Compensation Reserve, IFR, Investment Fluctuation Reserve, DRR, Debenture Redemption Reserve, CRR, Capital Redemption Reserve, and then RR, Revaluation Reserve. Like this, we have various reserves which all belongs to specific reserves. So now you have understood that there is something called as a capital redemption reserve. So since it is a part of a reserve, it will be shown under the category of reserves and surplus. Now tell me, reserves and surplus, is it a major head or a subhead? Reserves and surplus is the major head, subhead? Reserves and surplus a major head or is it a subhead? Hello, quickly confirm whether reserves and surplus, is it a major head or a subhead? Students, please.
Major hit, sir.
Okay, what about others? What about others, whether it's a major head or a subhead? Hello. Okay, this again says very clear that you are not paying attention. For each and every item, I am just scrolling out this balance sheet. I have asked you all to take up the format of balance sheet in the previous class. You people all have taken it, I hope so. And more than 10 times I have run through this balance sheet today, top to bottom, to ensure whether it is a asset item or liability item or asset item or liability item. So many times I was depicting the shareholder funds. I have asked you to underline or I made you to understand whatever is highlighted in pink color is a subheading, whatever is highlighted in the yellow color is a major head. So I don't know where you people have the concentration is. There's a first item that I took in the morning session today when I started at 5:15. It was scheduled at 5 o'clock. Today the session is 5:10. We waited for others to join. By 5:15 I started the class. So the first and the foremost item what I took today is about what is a major head, what is a subhead, what are the items are major head, which are the items are subhead. So I said very clearly the items which is marked in pink color is all your subhead. Even that I gave a very clear instruction that the money received against the share warrants, okay, or amount received against share warrants is shown as a separate item on the shareholder funds, but it cannot be a subhead. I kept repeating this n number of times, but I don't know where I have to go and cry. நான் லிட்டலா போய் எங்க அழுதுன்னு தெரியல எனக்கு. Reserves and surplus is a subheading. சரி, ஓகே, இது ஞாபகத்துல தானே பரவாயில்ல. நம்ம இத்தனை நேரம் எப்படி பார்த்துன்னு இருக்கோம்? We have got two columns. The first column is a major head column, second column is a subhead column. அப்படிதான் பார்த்துருக்கோம். அப்படியாவது பார்த்து சொல்லியிருக்கலாம். Reserves because the water question I'm asking you, the answer is just straight next to next. The answer is just marked in the very next two columns. So at least by looking at that, you could have given the answer. That shows the concentration capacity, that shows the focus, that shows the interest, namesake. Okay, they have scheduled a class, we have paid the fees, we need to attend a session, somewhat we'll attend, some knowledge will gain it. We not think about it centum. We don't want that centum and all. We only want the just to pass 26 for 80 or okay a decent score 50%, 40 out of 80. If that is your need of the hour, then need not take up the classes from RAW. RAW is not here to just develop a student to get only 50 out of 100 or just to get 35 or 33 percentage to get clear in your examination. I don't want my students to be in that category. If that is the case, then I am not the person for that. அந்த 33 மார்க் வாங்குறதோ இல்லை அந்த 40-80க்கு வாங்குறது நீனே படிச்சு வாங்கிக்கலாமே. You have that capacity. For what purpose I am here? I am not here to give any solace. That is, if you have got flunk in any examination or if you have got okay a very least score in any one examination, I am not here to give a solace for your problem. I am here to give a solution for your problem. Remember very carefully, expert people will not give you a solace, they give you only a solution. I can give you only the solution for the problems. I am not here to give any solace. Don't expect the solace from any what professionals. Professionals will give you only a solution, they won't give you any solace. Hope I understand what is the meaning of solace is. Solace என்னன்னு தெரியுமா? Are you aware of it? What is the meaning of solace? SOLACE.
No, sir.
The meaning is okay giving you a console, ஆறுதல். நான் ஆறுதல் தரதுக்கு இல்லை, இந்த எக்ஸாம் மார்க் அமைச்ச பரவாயில்ல அடுத்த எக்ஸாம்க்கு I am going to literally going to blast going forward in the classes. I am very sorry if it's going to hurt your integrity. அப்போவாவது அந்த சொரணை உரைக்குதான்னு பார்க்க போகிறேன். சொல்லுவாங்களா சூடு சொரணை இருக்கா இல்லையான்ட்டு. நான் ஓகே I don't want to take you to that extent. I hope that you will follow my instructions properly. Please be very okay clear in your understanding. And in that video what I'm going to share also, okay, it was the person who will also mention my name. You can just go and watch that video, okay, because we are all friends, we are all in a group and fraternities members, okay, where when it comes to our knowledge and we used to share everything, we used to give them some okay console or we used to give them some okay ideas and all. So I didn't expect that he will represent my name also in that particular video. Fortunately, unfortunately, he has represented, okay, that's something different, but I don't want that, okay, just for your understanding I'm just saying it here. As I say, every day is very precious, every time is more important, please focus. So now tell me, what is this reserves and surpluses? It is a majorhead or subhead?
Subhead, sir.
Then what is a majorhead for that reserves and surplus? What is a majorhead for that reserves and surplus?
Shareholders fund, sir.
That's it. So here you have capital redemption reserve. For that, the majorhead is your shareholder funds and subhead is reserves and surplus. The next item is capital reserve. Remember, even this capital reserve is one of the most important item under the topic of issue of shares. But when we deal it completely, I'll say what is this capital reserves all about. I'm going to give you one complete session for shares. You'll understand that. But now it's very easy term to understand. The word given here is reserve. Wherever you find the word reserve, that form part of reserves and surplus. That is the easy way to understand. Wherever you find the word reserve, okay, then they come under the category of reserves and surplus. So now tell me, what is the major head for capital reserve then? What could be the major head for capital reserve?
Shareholders fund, sir.
Very good. Shareholder funds, reserves and surplus. The next one is cash in hand. So what is cash in hand? Is it a current asset or is it a non-current asset? Or is it a liability?
Current assets, sir.
It is a current asset. So what is the subhead for this item of cash in hand?
Cash and cash equivalent, sir.
Yes, that's what I even marked it here also. For cash and cash equivalent, I have made very clear cash in hand is an important item of cash and cash equivalent. Cash at bank is an item of cash and cash equivalent. Draft, demand draft, government securities, marketable securities, checks, okay, or check in hand. All these things are part of your cash and cash equivalent. So in that way, this item is a cash and cash equivalent for cash in hand. Any doubt so far?
No,
No.
sir.
Okay, the next is checks and draft in hand. Just now we discussed check it is a current asset. Okay, because it is a item of cash and cash equivalent. Any doubt in the 16 items?
No, sir.
Okay, the
No,
next
sir.
one, computer software. So what is this computer software is basically? Is it an asset or it's a liability? Computer software,
Asset.
Assets,
it is
sir.
an asset. Okay, first of all, it is an asset. Okay, assets are of two type. One is current asset, the other is non-current asset. That is fixed asset. Tell me whether it's a current asset or a non-current asset. Whether it's a current asset or
Non-current.
it is a non-current asset, fixed asset. Okay, how you can ask me? Because it is going to be for a long period. The usage of this computer software is going to be for a long period. Say for example, I have purchased a laptop 3 years ago and it is having Windows 11. Okay, even though Windows, okay, 21, all those things has come, but I cannot change it. Okay, or if I'm going for a new version, then I can just re-update that particular software in my PC or in my laptop and I can run the show. That means I'm going to spend the amount and that amount is going to be used for a longer period. Okay, so that means it is a fixed asset. Okay, so computer softwares are basically a fixed asset and that's the reason it says as non-current asset. So what category it is? It's a non-current asset. The next one is it is a property, plant or equipment. What is it? It is a property, right? Computer software is also a property, right? That's an asset. It's a property for us. Okay. Can you able to see the software? Can you able to see the software? Literally, can you able to see the software literally? Definitely not. You
No,
can
sir.
you can only feel it. Okay, you can't touch it also. Okay, you can't touch the software. You cannot okay see the software how it works. You can only feel it. Say for example, I want to take a printout of a particular document. So I have purchased a printer. Along with the printer, they will give me some installation CD. Or if nowadays, okay, CDs are all okay gone out. They'll say you have to scan or you have to just install one particular file by going to a website. From there, you have to download it. Once you're done that installation procedure gets over, then you can take a printout. That means that's a software. Earlier and all, they used to give a software in a CD format or a DVD format. Nowadays, CD DVD concept is gone. So you are just going to scan or you're going to go to a website. You will just search for a particular okay file, and once you get the file, you download it, and that will get installed. Then you can give the print. Now the software is running behind your system, and that enable your document to get printed in your printer. Now you can only see the output, how the print comes, whether it comes in black and white or in color, however you're given the instruction. But you cannot see what happens in the back end, right? So that means you can touch it, you cannot see it. So some software is running that is enable the system to print and give you the output. So it's a basic or a classic example to understand. So computer softwares will just give the directions or just give the command and it gives you some output, but you can only feel that particular output. You cannot touch them, you cannot see them. So now tell me, it is a non-current assets. Under what category it can be fit into? Property, plant and equipment and intangible asset. And under that it comes as an intangible asset. Hope it is clear to you. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. The next one is computers and printers. Tell me what is it? It's an asset or it's a liability? Computers and printers.
Asset, sir.
Asset. What type of asset?
Non-current.
Non-current asset. It's a fixed asset. Okay. So what category it can be? It could be a property, plant and equipment, an intangible asset, and it is a property. It is an asset for the firm. So that's why we declare it as property, plant and equipment. So can you make it understandable once again? Okay, let me show you here. In asset category, you got non-current asset, and under that you got property, plant and equipment and intangible asset. Under this category, there is something called property, plant and equipment. So you are fixing this. Okay, that means this to this. So this is how you are just declaring it. It comes as a major head of non-current asset. Under that major of non-current asset, in the subhead category, one heading is property, plant and equipment, intangible asset. Under that category, it comes under the category of property, plant and equipment. That is what they're trying to say from this statement. Is it clear to you, or any doubt you have up to this?
No
No
doubt,
doubts.
sir.
Okay. The next one is copyrights. What is it? Copyrights. Remember, any rights, it's not only copyrights, patent rights, okay, or intellectual property rights. When you find any item with the word rights, okay, with the word rights, it is basically an asset. Okay, basically they come under the category of asset, and all rights is for a long period. Okay, the rights is your long period. Okay, so any rights in Tamil we call as urimai. How long you'll have that rights? How long it should be? You will have the rights. Okay, so that means the rights are subject to time period, so it is always for a longer period. So copyrights is a long period rights, so it is a non-current asset. Okay, so basically rights are assets. So copyright is a non-current assets, that is fixed assets. Now under what category can be fit into? It will come under the category of property, plant and equipment, intangible asset. The rights you can only realize it, you can only feel it, okay, when you exercise it. Okay, you can only feel that particular rights when you exercise it. You cannot touch them, you cannot see them. So it is an intangible asset. Able to understand? Can able to understand?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so property, plant and equipment, intangible asset, it's an intangible asset. The next is very important. COVID nasal vaccine development expenses. So this particular item came into the picture when there was a COVID in peak. In the year 2019 only, okay, 2019-20, it was brought into the picture. Until then, we didn't have this type of item in our major and subhead. Once we experienced something called COVID, and when the laboratories and the hospitals and doctors were keenly involved in finding out a medicine for the COVID vaccines, okay, they were spending some money on that particular vaccines. So that's what we denote as COVID nasal vaccine development expenses. So it at that point of time it was in development stage. Okay, so nasal vaccine development, and once if it comes out, okay, once a particular vaccine comes out, it is going to be a real game changer. It is going to save many people's life. The life of a person is more precious, is more, what to say, uh yes ma, yes, you can leave. Okay, in another 5 minutes I'll also close it, then it will be telecasted in the YouTube by evening today. So the life of any individual is more precious, and it is more valuable. So it is an asset, a precious one. So this particular vaccine, it's going to act as an asset, which is going to save many people life. So that's the reason we say it is a non-current asset, because it is going to be forever. Okay, once you found out what is the formula, okay, what is the component, okay, or what is the ratio in which it has to be mixed and prepared, then that's going to be for everlasting, and that's going to save many people's life. So that means it is considered to be as a fixed asset. It's a non-current asset, and it comes under the category of property, plant and equipment, and intangible asset. Under this category, there is a term called as intangible asset under development. The reason is, if it is an intangible asset which is complete, then you will say it as intangible asset. When the intangible asset is still in progress, which is incomplete, you will say it as under development. That's why if you see here, under the category of non-current assets, you have something called as intangible asset. There is something called intangible asset under development. So this you can't use it. The reason is it is not complete. Only this you can use it because it is under development. Still it is in development stage only. Hope it is clear to you up to this concept. Any doubt?
No, sir.
Okay, right. So the next one, very simple for us. Okay, creditors. So who are creditors? They are liabilities. Creditors are liabilities. What type of liability? They give a short-term credit. So they belong to current liability. Creditors are current liability. And what do we do with the creditors? We buy goods from them. Okay, so that means we are involving in trade activity. So usually we have to pay for creditors. So that means under the current liability, the trade payable is apt subheading for sundry creditors or creditors. Hope it is clear to you all. This is clear to you
Yes,
all,
sir.
right? The next one, okay, current maturities of long-term debts. Again, if I want to discuss about this concept, then it takes some time. That means I have to touch upon the debenture concept. Let me keep a hold on this. Okay, let us go for the next item. Even borrowings payable in 30 months, operating cycle period is 24 months. So that means here you are borrowing some money on the condition that it is payable in 30 months. They're giving you time period of 30 months to pay it, but your operating period is 24 months. Okay, so the operating cycle is 24 months. In that, if you are able to pay borrowings payable in 30 months, operating cycle is 24 months, then it is a part of your current liability because it's a borrowing. Borrowings are liabilities payable in 30 months, but the operating cycle is 24 months. When the operating cycle is within the, okay, that is, if it is less than your, okay, payable period, they are called as current liabilities. And what is a subheading? If you see, it comes under the borrowing. So short-term borrowings. Under current liability, it belongs to short-term borrowings. Any doubt as of now? Any doubt as of now?
No, sir.
No,
Okay.
sir.
So we are stopping it here. Today we are discussing 20 items. Let us go bit by bit. 20 items, 20 items. Okay, let us go in a steady phase. No need to go in urgency because this 120 items, if you are learning it with interest and with understanding, with concept, then the 3 marks is sure and guarantee. Whatever be the question is, you'll easily able to crack it. Okay, so please make it in your mind. You read the concept with understanding, don't literally by heart it. Try to understand and try to fit the items under the respective major head and the subhead. And before that, you should be well versed in the format mug up பண்ணாத format understand பண்ணு. Okay, even I'll try to make you to understand the format even more better. Once we complete the major and subhead, I'll give you some mnemonics for your balance sheet also. Okay, so let us stop it here. Today we have discussed some 20 items. Okay, if you see up to this 11, it was continuous. Then this is your 12, 13, 14, 15, and then 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Okay, 21 items we discussed. I'm sorry. Okay, we discussed today how many items? 21 items we have discussed. We are still having 100 more items to discuss. It is very easy. We'll break it into 20, 20, 20, 20. which means by this week we'll be able to complete this major and subhead very easily and very slowly. So please do it as a regular habit. Learn on the same day what is being taught. Don't postpone it. Don't think it is not there as of now for my syllabus, it's going to come later point. Why should I want to give importance for this right now? Please, if you have such type of an attitude, kindly change your attitude. Your attitude is going to create a major downfall. I'm saying it. And students, if you are with the mindset that you are going to give more importance to your friends, then that is also going to pull you down. Okay, if you want to prosper and progress, just keep your friends away. Don't give much importance to friends. Give importance to the teachers. What they say, take it up. Friends, you just throw it away or keep it aside. Don't take friends to your heads. They are literally going to disturb you. They are literally going to pull you down, and they will go to the next level. You will be in some other level. So please, it's my humble request or advice. Friends in the group இருக்கலாம். Okay, for example, there could be one or two members who may be a close friend. Friends are required, but they are not okay to the core. Once if you complete your success, they'll be joining you. So please, if you want to get success, keep your friends away. Okay, focus only in the what aim, or focus only in the requirement, what you want to do, what you want to achieve. Okay, a good marks in 12th standard, 490 above out of 500 or 480 above out of 500, and send them in minimum 2 or 3 subjects. I'm sure in accountancy, if this is your mantra, then success is yours. All the best. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome.